So in adolescent stage, so adolescent stage means it is most of the puberty period. Okay. So in adolescent stage, an individual organism reaches to the physical maturity. So physical maturity plus plus reproductive maturity. So reproductive maturity. So reproductive maturity in the sense of female means development of female menarche cycle, menarche, and starting of the menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle. So production of the ova. Production of ova. So male means so production of sperms. So production of sperms. So at the same time, the secondary sexual characteristics are associated for both genders. Secondary sexual characteristics. So for female, enlargement of the breast, male voice change, bone strength increasing. So these are all the some of. Is it clearly visible or any? Okay, now it is looking good. Okay, secondary sexual characteristics appear in both genders. So appear in both genders. So we'll discuss one by one. So sometimes they ask like the reproductive development of reproductive development in adolescent stage or biological changes occurring at the adolescent stage. This is how they are asking the questions. So physical maturity means what? So physical maturity, okay, social maturity. So physical maturity, social maturity, psychological maturity. So all type of maturities they will attain during the adolescent years only. So physical maturity means, so generally height to weight peak, that we call as a peak growth velocity. That means total as much as, that means complete height increasing happening in the adolescent years only. Okay, so the weight wise, height wise, that we call as a adolescent growth spurt. So here we are talking about the sexual hormones. Sexual hormones releasing causes the changes within the body. That is secondary sexual characteristics as well as the reproductive development. But here, so brain region completes, okay, head region completes, shoulders completes, so the bones complete. These are all the rest of the body that we call as a physical maturity. So social maturity means, so they can capable of making the relationships, okay, making the judgments about their life, that we call as a social maturity. So psychological maturity means they can think about, they can face any kind of stresses. Okay, this we call as a psychological maturity. So all type of maturities generally happened in the puberty stage only. Once this stage passed, they can lead their own life by entering the relationship, by participating in the economic activities. So they can capable of lead their own life. Okay, so without depending on the parents. Now they are so independent persons. So generally, what are all the responsible things biological phenomena wise if we observe? So HBG axis. So HPG axis. So already you are familiar about the HPG axis. Hypothalamus, so pituitary and gonads. So gonads means ovaries in female, testes in male. So that means whatever the hypothalamus releasing gonadotropin releasing hormone, GnRH. So GnRH, so which trigger the pituitary to release FSH and LH hormones. And these two hormones trigger the gonads. In female, estrogen hormone, progesterone. In male, testosterone. So these hormonal production suddenly increasing their quantity after infancy stage. Yesterday we saw that infancy growth was very high when compared to all other postnatal growth. Why? Because the hormones, these HBG axis hormones were heavily released in the infancy stage, but they could not able to trigger the ova or sperms. But again, after passing the childhood, these hormones starts to secreting, but this time they can stimulate the ovas and sperms, and they produce the secondary sexual characters. So the major cause of adolescent is nothing but the changes happening in endocrine glands that is related to the HBG axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, gonad axis. So this is the general information. So that means this HBG axis again activated after infancy. After infancy, might be it is activated, but sudden surge of increasing the hormones happened after the childhood stage. So what are all the major changes associated? So during the time of 5 to 8 years of adolescent span, you can see, so puberty growth spurt. So puberty growth spurt means increasing the height, increasing the weight. So increasing the height and weight starts with the onset of the puberty, but when they reach to the middle of the puberty, somewhere else like 12 years for the girl or 14 years for the boy, the peak velocity they observe. Okay, peak velocity they observe in the height. That means if you take the axis like, so 12 years, okay, 14 years, 16 years, 18 years, okay, 10 years, 12 years, okay, 8 years, this is the age. If you take the female, female generally from 8th year onwards, they reach the peak they reach. Okay, after that, it's slightly down, that height. But if you take the boys, they too start at the 8 years, but the peak reach is at 14 years. After that, it downs. Okay, so 8 years onwards, female starts puberty stage. By 12 years, they reach the peak velocity in the height. Okay, so for the boys, they reach at the 14 years peak velocity in the total height. So this is how puberty growth spurt identified. So puberty growth spurt in height and weight. The second thing is development of secondary sexual characters. Development of secondary sexual characters. So these are all the things you have to elaborate. So one by one, what are all the puberty growth spurt? How it is varied between male and female? So that is one point. Second one is development of secondary sexual characters. In male, what are all the secondary sexual characters? In female, what are all the secondary sexual character? And third one, you can see completion of the permanent teeth. So completion of permanent teeth. So in the late childhood, the eruption of the permanent teeth begins, but the permanent teeth completion, all the permanent teeth comes in the adolescent years only. By the time of complete adolescent years, all the permanent teeth are appeared in an individual except molar 3. So third molar. So third molar, which appears at the age between 17 years to 25 years. So generally third molar appear at the age of 21. So sometimes some people it is early at the 17 years, or sometimes some people it is late at the 25 years. So generally overall at the 21 years we can observe the third molar. If it is late, not more than the 25 years. If it is early, not less than the 17 years. So this is how, except the third molar, all the remaining permanent teeth appear in an individual. So during by the completion of adolescent years. So psychological and behavioral changes. So psychological and behavioral changes. So behavioral changes. So in one of the year, they gave the question like adolescent changes. Adolescent changes means physical height weight, physical growth, height weight. Second one is sexual related changes. Third one is teeth related changes. Fourth one is psychological and behavioral changes. So those things one by one we will elaborate. So one by one we will elaborate. So when it comes to adolescent growth spurt, so adolescent growth spurt. So generally it starts with the puberty. So puberty starting is nothing but starting of adolescent growth spurt. Okay. So attain rapid growth. Attain rapid growth. Rapid velocity in all skeleton tissues. In all skeleton tissues, rapid velocity we observe. That means hand anatomy, okay, hand length increases, leg length increases, femur, tibia, okay, pelvic region. So these the chest region, everything. So because of increasing of the all tissues, bones as well as the skeleton tissues, the overall attainment of velocity we can observe during the adolescent growth spurt. So overall. So second changes you can see. So maximum reach. So maximum reach occurs at the peak height velocity. Peak height velocity. So this we call as a PHV, peak height velocity. Though it is entire duration, it is a growth occurred in the height weight, but maximum velocity we can observe that years we call as a peak height velocity. Peak height velocity. So next we can see after that gradual decline. After reaching the peak height velocity, gradual decline. Gradual decline in the total rate of change in the body height and weight. Okay. So in boys, this peak velocity we observe in boys between. So in boys puberty. So in boys puberty is between 12.5 years to 15.5 years. So puberty is spanned between 12.5 years to 15.5 years. So this is the boys puberty changes. Then peak height velocity. So this in the boys we observe at the 13.5 years or 14.5 years. So that means from 12.5 years to 15.5 years, the growth is observed in the height and weight. But the maximum growth in the height and weight we can see in the one of the duration year, that is 13.5 year to 15.5 years. So when it comes to the girls, females. So female puberty. So female puberty generally initiated at the 10.5 years. So 10.5 years, but PHV, peak height velocity. So peak height velocity we can observe at the 11.5 years to 12.5 years. So from this you can say girls attain peak height velocity or total height greater than the boys prior to 1 year, or sometimes it is 2 years also. So that means in early height, total height, female height is greater than the male height in the early years of the puberty. But once the boys started their peak height velocity, they suppress the female total height. Understand? Female reaches peak high velocity 2 years earlier than the boys. During such time, boys looks like shorter than the females. But boys will start at the 13.5 years and they suppress the female. Already they reached the peak height velocity. That you should remember. So adolescent growth spurts means these are all the points must and should come. So remaining things, if it is come or not, that doesn't matter. So overall, overall after adolescent years. After adolescent years, so boys greater than the girls. Greater than girls. So initially girls are greater than boy, but overall after adolescent years completed in both girls and boys are greater than the girls. So in the height, that is almost 8.2 centimeters to 10.3 centimeters. So boys are taller than the girls in the height, that is ranged between 8.2 centimeters to 10.3 centimeters. So this is the adolescent growth spurt both in boys and girls. So adolescent spurt, in adolescent spurt, growth spurt. So another points in adolescent growth spurt you can refer. So in boys, bone density increases. So bone density increases, that is physical maturity. Next, cardiovascular, pulmonary. So cardiovascular and pulmonary functions increases. Cardiovascular means that is heart. So bones, heart, lungs. Pulmonary means lungs. Pulmonologist means study about the lungs. So that means both bone density increases, bone size and density increases, heart function increases, pulmonary function increases, because increased body length requires more pumping of the blood. So that requires the heart to be specially developed. Okay, pulmonary lungs to be, the cater the more demand of the oxygen, the lungs to be expand and function so efficiently. This is how these other changes that is related to physical maturity. Next, so larger blood volume. So bone marrow, increased bone size, that also increasing the bone marrow. Bone marrow produces more RBCs to carry the more oxygen, that is increased capacity of the lungs. They supply the more oxygen. That oxygen to be supplied by increasing the more number of blood volume through RBCs. So next, greater density of RBCs. So greater density of RBCs. So these are all related to the physical maturity. So these are all related to the physical maturity. So within the growth spurt, we cannot alienate within the growth spurt. So what are all the physical maturity related things in the boys means increasing the bone density, heart function, lungs function. So total volume of the blood increases, as well as greater density of RBCs to carry the more oxygen to each and every cell. So this is the some of the important changes. So overall at the end of, so conclusions, overall at the end of the adolescent, the conclusion between the genders. So adolescent growth spurt, conclusions. So boys greater amount of growth. So boys greater amount of growth. So boys greater amount of growth prior to adolescent. So prior to adolescent, that means in late childhood. So in late childhood, boys are taller than the girls. So once adolescent started, so boys delay onset of adolescent. Boys delay onset of adolescent. So adolescence. So that means first girls reach the adolescent and boys will start later, followed by the girls, they will start. That is the second conclusion. And third conclusion, so boys greater intensity. So boys greater intensity of growth spurt. So growth spurt. So the greater intensity means so severe. That's why nearly 8 centimeters to till 10 centimeters taller than the girls. Boys are after end of the adolescent 8 centimeters to 10 centimeters, they are greater than the girls because they have severe growth spurt they observe. And fourth one, girls longer duration of the growth spurt. Girls experience longer duration of growth spurt. So time wise, the duration wise, girls are more, peak intensity wise, within the short term gaining more height, that is called intensity. So that is the boys, but duration wise girls. So at the end of the adolescent, boys are taller than the girls. So these are all the some conclusions about adolescent growth spurt. So now you can see some case studies also you can write. In North America, Western Europe, in North America and Western Europe. So Western Europe, so the boys have, so boys have 17.5 years and girls have 15.5 years. So adolescent completed in different region differently. So adolescence completion done in boys of North America as well as Western Europe at the age of 17.5 years. After that, they don't observe any kind of growth. So height and weight. So girls 15.5 years, they complete the maximum height growth, and after that their growth declines or stagnated. So this is how we can see. Okay, so now you can see here. So boys are taller and so they are later than the girls. Okay, they start at 12 years and continue up to the 17 years. That means overall 5 years duration is there. So next you can see, so adolescent related topics. So factors, these are all under normal circumstances. Under normal circumstances, so these are all the conclusions. So what are all the factors affecting this one? So factors affecting the adolescent growth spurt. So what are all the factors that affect the adolescent growth spurt? So first one, genetic factors. So genetic factors. So the individual is nothing but a genes inherited from the both parents. If both parents are, so if both parents are, so early in adolescent, the individual also early. If both are late in adolescent, both parents are, the individual also late. So if that individual is a female, so we can correlate with the mother. If mother is early in adolescent, the child is also early. If mother is late in adolescent, the child also late. Understand? If the individual is a boy, we can correlate with the father. If father is early in adolescent, the boy is early in adolescent. If father is late, the boy also late. So this is how tight genetic control we observe. So at the same time, so though the individual received parental genes are early in adolescent growth spurt, but so nutrition is not proper. So nutrition is not proper. That means there is a tight control of nutrition. So it happens only proper nutrition available for that an individual. So nutritional control is there. If there is no proper nutrition, the onset of growth spurt increases. Instead of 12.5 years, it might go for the 14.5 years or 16.5 years. Understand? So nutrition control. So nutrition control. So that means if malnutrition, so malnutrition or chronic malnutrition, the adolescent growth spurt, so adolescent malnutrition or undernutrition, adolescent growth spurt delays. That is the second factor. So in some situation, environmental factors also there. So diseases. not only nutrition, diseases. If any long duration diseases or any sickness during the years of 10 and 12 years, the adolescent growth spurt delays. So diseases such as, so growth inhibiting diseases are there. In that condition, so they have to first go for the disease and recovery period. In that recovery period and disease period, there is so much of gap, then they will be delayed than the compared to normal individual. That you should remember. So disease also play a key role. And the fifth factor is like child labor. So child labor, if the children are doing hard labor activities, so their most of the energy consumed on the physical work, so less fat stored inside the body. So if less fat stored inside the body, obviously delay in the sexual hormones, gonadal, no. So gonadal hormones, GN, gonadal releasing hormone, as well as other sex hormones also delay because of less fat is there. So generally hard labor work people, they are thin in nature. That means storing of the fat is very less. When fat is very less, they are unable to produce more number of sex hormones or gonadal hormones, that led to the delay in the adolescent growth spurt. And endocrine glands. So endocrine glands, that is pituitary, okay, hypothalamus, or ovaries, or testes, or thyroid, okay, pancreas. These are all the endocrine glands. So endocrine glands are, if you take the thyroid, so thyroid helps in metabolism. Okay, so if abnormal production or deficient production of thyroid hormone, what would happen? It impact the metabolism. So that means metabolism impact on the adolescent. So any problems in the endocrine glands also have severe impact on the onset of adolescent growth spurt. Okay, so not only that, environmental factors. So environmental factors, so such as psychological stress, physical stress, so physical stress, so social stress. So these stresses causes early in the menarche. Okay, early in the menarche, early in the puberty. Understand? So that is negatively. That means they are preponing, not the postponing or delaying. So early in the menarche and puberty. So these are all some kind of factors. So factors which influence the onset of adolescent growth spurt or adolescent age. So these things you have to write. So next, so sexual development. Next, sexual development in the adolescent time period. So sexual development. So generally sex hormones, male hormones, testosterone, female hormones, so estrogen, progesterone. So these hormones secretion by the male and female ovaries. These hormones secretion by the male and female hormones that led to the changes in sexual life, changes in sexual life, as well as changes in the secondary sexual characteristics. So these are the sex hormones, and these hormones FSH, LH, GnRH. So these hormones together bring the changes in the boys. So this we call as a secondary sexual characters. So enlargement or increasing the size of the, increasing in size of penis. Okay, scrotum. So larger scrotum. So scrotum means it is the pouch which hold the testes. Okay, scrotum size increases, penis size increases. So sexual maturity during the adolescent years. The second one is growth of pubic hair, pubic axillary hair, facial hair. So this is the secondary, another secondary sexual character. So growth of pubic hair. So a growth of pubic hair. So lower body parts beyond the penis. So surrounding of the penis, axillary hair means so beyond the hands, in the gap between the body as well as the hands. So facial hair on the beard, growth of the beard and everything, mouth, chest, beard growth, that is in the boys. These are all the result of secretion of these hormones in the adolescent. So on third one, you can see, so noise. So voice change, male related voice change, that is male related due to changes in the larynx. So that is another change. So seminal emission. So seminal emissions. So that means in sleeping time, the boys release white liquid. So white liquid on the bed, that we call a seminal emission. So these are all the indications of the boy has reached to the, so this adolescent years. Okay, culturally how it is significant. So this is biologically what happens inside the body. So culturally, when any society it appears, so culturally they initiate the boy into adult. So now the boy has no more a child, now the boy is a adult. So on the bed, if the boy parents or relatives observe, white liquid is coming, so voice change appearing, so beard appearing. Okay, so these are all the indication that culturally they initiate into the boy into adulthood. So that in our festivals, so wearing dhoti, okay, the festival, the function of a dhoti function for boys. Okay, they present like pancha, something like they present it. They invite the relatives and everything. That indicate that now my boy is ready to get the marriage because we observed all the adolescent characters. So this biological event turned into a cultural event in the form of functions, initiation functions. Initiation function means from boyhood to adulthood. Understand? So what about that girls? So girls sexual development are secondary sexual characters. So development of the breast region. So breast region size increases generally. Development of breast region. So pubic hair. So axillary hair. So pubic hair and axillary hair. So here you should remember. So they had no facial hair. That is beard and mouths are not present in the girls, but axillary hair appears. Pubic hair has the different pattern in male and different pattern in female. Okay, that you should remember. So another character is nothing but development of or enlargement of so vagina, uterus. So development of vagina, uterus, so that sexuality appears. Sexual intercourse can be possible. Sexual intercourse can be possible. And finally, menarche, releasing of ova. Menarche, releasing of first ova. Releasing of first menstrual cycle. First menstrual cycle. So everything, menarche, clearly we discussed what are all the hormones involved. So how ovaries respond, fallopian tubes. Okay, so these are all the things. So sexual development in both genders, males and females. So generally these are all early in female. Once these are all late. Why? Because there is a age gap difference. Female starts puberty early, male start puberty somewhat later. So that you should remember. So sexual development, physical development, sexual development, factors. So this is all about. So conclusion you can write. So secular trend means so observations. So observations. So you can see so menarche and onset of adolescent growth spurt in last 100 years. In last 100 years declined. In last 100 years declined. So this is the observation. That means this process has been present in every generation. So when compared to great grandmother, so the great grand daughters have lesser age when it comes to menarche and onset of adolescent growth spurt. So this might be discuss the factors responsible for or discuss the trends in the menarche and adolescent growth spurt. So that you have tried. So when girls it is declined, the same applicable for the boys. Okay, the same applicable for the boys. So now why it has been declined? Why it has been declined means all the changes economically, politically, culturally, food habits, diet, everything which happened in the last 100 years, that was the responsible. Okay, so increased sanitization, hygiene, eradication of the diseases. Okay, so if diseases are there, it is very late. If there is no disease, all type of medicinal growth, all type of diseases got eradicated. So infectious disease and everything, and availability of too much of food. So availability of the fat food, okay, protein food, junk food, all this might too much of nutrition that causes the early triggering of the gonadal hormones as well as so sexual hormones. So this is whatever happened, all the economically, politically, okay, this kind of other factors, environmentally, so medical progress, all the things you have to quote to show that all the factors which are responsible for delay in the onset of adolescent was eradicated, so that the age of onset of adolescent growth spurt declined. So this is how you have to justify or defend. So I will teach it better in answer writing time. So this is the adolescence. Adolescent means what you have to write. So generally, what do you mean by adolescent? So physical growth or onset of the adolescent growth. So overall conclusions between the boys and girls. Next, physical maturity, okay, sexual maturity, and factors responsible for early onset or later onset. So these are all the things we have to discuss. Okay. So next, post-adolescent years. So the growth related to the post-adolescent years. So growth of post-adolescent years. So 99.9%, 99.9% bones, muscles, height, weight, maximum fixed during the adolescent years. So maximum fixed. So it won't be changed in the future. But there are some minor changes are occur. So post-adolescent, only few organs in our body tend to show variation. So what are all those organs? So you can see skeleton growth. So skeleton growth continues slightly. So continues slightly after adolescent years. That is the first conclusion. Second conclusion you can write. So vertebral column. So vertebral column continue to grow up to 30 years. Up to 30 years. So third one, height in average. Height also changes. Height average change. So 3 to 5 millimeters. 3 to 5 millimeters up to age of 35, we can say. So millimeter, it's not the centimeters. If it is case in the adolescent, every year they grown into 3 to 5 centimeters. So millimeters, very, very small height observation, but we cannot visualize with our eyes. So 3 to 5 centimeters means, millimeter means. So head length, breadth. So as well as other facial diameters and other facial diameters. So this kind of facial region, total head, length increases, breadth increases. So this region we can observe somewhat changes in the adolescent years later. So face and head. So fifth point we can say height, total height. So this we are saying height stops after 35-40. 35 to 40 years. Even that millimeters also never grown after 35 to 40 years. So these are all the general observation in post-adolescent years. That means everything. So everything, organs, bones, muscles, height, weight, everything is fixed by the time of adolescent. If any changes are there, so height in millimeters, that too up to 35 to 40 years, after that complete cessation of the height. So here only head region. There are some fuses are there, that fuses happen 35-40 years. The head maturity, head circumference or facial changes only happens after the adolescent years, not related to the total height and weight. So vertebral column grow up to 30 years. So this is also you can remember. So this is the general small observation. So that anthropologist concluded post-adolescent years. So this is the adolescent growth spurt or adolescent stage. So what is the nutshell in the adolescent years? Adolescence. So the individual is ready for reproduction and sexual activity. So reproduction and sexual activity. That means they can capable of making their own relationships. So they are socially, physically mature. So biologically, all the growth and weight so reaches. So now an individual is perfect individual, ready to freeing from their parental control or elders control. So this is all about the adolescent years, and they go into the marriage also. 17.5 years. So the, Northern America, 17.5 years means almost it is 18 years. In 18 years later, they are ready to go for dating. They are ready to living in the live-in relationship. So this is how their own life they start, and they became the mothers, they became the fathers, they produce the children. So this is how life cycle goes on. So next, so adulthood. So adulthood means generally 20 to 40 years. Okay. Adulthood means generally 20 to 40 years. So 20 to 40 years. So maturity years means, so matured person means 40 to 60. So old age means 60 plus. So these are all the remaining 3 stages. So sometimes adulthood they talk about the 20 to 60 years also. Okay. So 20 to 60 years after adolescent years till reaching of the old age, some of the books talk about it is adulthood. But generally adulthood means 20 to 40, mature age means 40 to 60, old age means 60 to death. So adulthood. So adult, here adulthood means adult stature and sexual maturation. So here, how do we identify adult stature, height? So after that, there is no growth in the height, adult stature and the sexual maturation. So sexual maturations. So sexual maturation happened in the girls at the age of 12.5 years. That means they can release ova. Understand? So then why? And it is the part of adolescent. And we cannot say a girl is sexually matured. Biologically matured means releasing of ova or starting of monthly cycle. So sexually matured means the cycle should be normal. So every 28 days, one ova should be released. So irregular means one of the monthly cycle, 28 days it come, another monthly cycle, 40 days it come, another monthly cycle, 25 days it come, That means irregular. There is no fixed interval. Irregular monthly cycles. Irregular monthly cycles. The second one is, so anovulation. Anovulation means without having ova also, sometimes monthly cycles happen. So third factor, so irregular monthly cycle, anovulation. Even if monthly cycle is there, ova is there, incapable of fertile. So incapable of fertile. That means the first 2 to 3 years, monthly cycles are immature monthly cycles. They are not suitable for fertilization, unable to produce the pregnancy. So that's why sexual maturity after this stabilization, irregular menstruation, okay, so every month ova releasing and released ovas are capable of fertility. That stage we call as a sexual maturation. Understand? That means even though if a girl became, why it is blurring? When I am trying to fix it, became anything is hard. So you can see. So that means if a girl reach to the menarche at 12.5 years, but next 2 to 3 years, whatever the monthly cycles, they are not regular, they are irregular. So one of the month early, one of the month late. So that means there is no fixed 28 days cycle. So, and at the same time, anovulation, that means sometimes the cycle might come without having the ova. And third condition, if the ovas releasing also, they are unfertile or incapable of fertile. So these, when these issues are fixed, then that girl is ready. A girl we called as a sexually matured girl. So when sexual maturity occurs, that is regular menstruation, ovas releasing, ovas are capable of fertility, then we call it as a sexual maturation. The same applicable for the boys also. So early sperms are unable to fertilize. That means 2 to 3 years later sperms are able to fertilize. So these time we call it as a sexual maturation for the boys. So that means the sexual maturation and reaching to the maximum stature, these are all the hallmark of adolescent. Hallmark of adolescent. When we observe this one, if a woman is getting every day, every month 28 days cycle, so then that is the hallmark of she is reached to the adulthood age. Now she is ready to getting marriage. Understand? So next, so if you observe that there are variations. So young women and men of, so upper socio-economic category. Upper socio-economic category. Upper socio-economic category. So that is 18 years for female and 21 years for male. So that means upper socio-economic category, why I am referring means they have availability of resources. So they have proper money so that any kind of diseases they can remove from their body. So they have money so that they receive all type of reproductive education, okay, nutritional education, they consume proper food, they maintain hygiene lifestyles. So this is how, when a person is healthy and normal, generally female reaches adulthood at the age of 18 years. Okay, male reaches adulthood at the age of 21 years. So after that, we can call that person as an adult person. So prior to that, that means 12 to 17.5 or 14 to 20 years somewhere else. These are all the adolescent years for the boys. So once this age passed, they became adult ages, adult people. So now they are getting married. That's why, so these ages are fixed for the marriage. So fixed minimum ages for marriage once they reach to the adult. So prior to 18 years, all the cycles are not capable of fertilization. Understand? And we are observing that so many cases, The 14 years girl became pregnant. Okay, so 16 years girl became pregnant, 15 years girl became pregnant, or 13 years girl also became pregnant if she had that menarche at 12.5 years. So these are all the exceptional cases. Okay, these are all the exceptional cases when regular sexual intercourse occur. Regular sexual intercourse occur. So regular sexual intercourse occur, the body adapt quickly for these changes. If there is no sexual intercourse, so the female body releasing ovas or monthly cycles, they are not perfect. If regular sexual intercourse occur, then they become perfected and they reach maturity prior to 18 years. Understand? So that you should remember. If there is no sexual intercourse means, so she waits for whatever the ovas are unovulated ovas and irregular menstrual cycle. So this kind of infertility we can observe. So this is the general information you have to write. So reproductive maturity 18 years and 19 years for the girl. So these are all the adulthood years. Okay, adulthood years. They are capable of adulthood means everything got perfected. Now they are entering into the marriage. So next senescence. So senescence. So senescence means so growing into older. So growing into older so that reaching to death. So reaching to death. So it happens after 60 plus years. Generally 60 plus years, anytime death might come. So that's why senescence means growing into older and reaching to the death. So growing into older means failure of the organs. Failure of organs, systems, everything. Okay, so that when any organ failed, the dependent organs, first of all, that organ product missed in the body and a dependent organ from this product also, they malfunctioned and the death is certain. So this we call as a senescence. So decrease, senescence also called as decrease in the lifespan. Total lifespan, if early in the senescence, means very early they are reaching to the death. That means total lifespan declines. Understand? Total lifespan declines. At the same time, increased. How do we measure this senescence? So senescence measured in any population due to death rate. So death rate for every 1,000 individual, how many people are dying? For every 1,000 individual, how many people are dying? That is the indicator of this population experiencing so quick census. So quick census stage. Understand? If every 1,000 people, that means it is also a measure of longevity. So longevity. So how many, on average, how many years an individual survives in a population? So through death rate and longevity, we can measure the census stage of human population. Okay. So what are all the factors? So factors of senescence is nothing but so genetic factors. So genetic factors, environmental factors, social factors, so any psychological factors, nutritional factors, same, everything is same. If these are all perfect, longevity increases. If these are all imperfect, longevity declines and the person reaches very quickly for death. So how do we establish genetic control? So how do we establish genetic control? So genetic control means, you can observe, genetic control means twins are there. So twins. So twins are two types, monozygotic twins. Monozygotic twins. Dizygotic zygotic twins. So monozygotic twins and dizygotic twins. Monozygotic twins means single fertilized egg develop into two embryos. Single fertilized egg develop into two embryos. That we call as a monozygotic twin. So here two ovaries are released. Two ovaries are separately fertilized and each one developed into separate embryo. Embryo 1 and embryo 2. That means they are just like a siblings, but they born at a time. This we call as a dizygotic twin. Monozygotic twins, they are identical twins because both are developed from a single fertilized ova. If a woman in under differential circumstances, she releases two ovaries in any one of the cycle. If these two ovaries are fertilized, that we call as a dizygotic twin. So that means these are all the two pregnancies at a time they are carrying. It is the one pregnancy result into two embryos. So that means these, whatever the genes are crossing over. So crossing over happens before fertilization. Both undergo same kind of crossing over. That's why they are identical to each other. Understand? So that means 100%, whatever the genes present here, whatever the same genes present here. Here, if one of the ova fertilized as X, another ova fertilized as Y, one became boy, another became girl. But here, both genders are same. Why? Because single egg only divided into two. That means here, if it is XX, both are XX. If it is XY, both are XY. Understand? So here, the death between these two, the time gap between this monozygotic twin is very less. So death between monozygotic twin is very less. So that indicates that the death has control of the genetic influence. So that death has the control of genetic influence. So why, if one of the twin died at 60 years per se, another twin dies at the age of 60 years 2 months. 60 years 2 months. So what it indicates? So birth is same time, but death is also same time. Very negligible duration is there. That is 2 months. So if you take this one, if one of the person died at 60 years, another person may live like 80 years also. That here the wide gap is there. Here it indicates that here their death has very less genetic control. Very less genetic control. So one of the person might be died because of environmental factor. Another person lived because of better conditions. So better environmental condition caused another person lived 80 years. Worst environmental condition that led to the another person died at 60 years. But here both died with narrow gap, means here their death is tightly controlled by genetics. That's why very close. Genetics tightly controlled. Okay, tightly controlled. Here genetics have less role. That means both the environment as well as the genetics have the role in the death controlling. So we can say that genetics has the factors. Understand? So we can establish through twin studies and non-twin studies. Twin studies and non-twin studies. Monozygotic twins and dizygotic twins. So now you can say, so environmental conditions. So extreme stresses are, so you are observing like in summer, many old age people are dying out. Why? Because heat waves. That means temperature certain level crossing. So this old age people are unable to tolerate. That means too much of cold, too much of hotness. It is negatively impact on the old age people, they die out. Okay, nutritional. So that means old age people require so perfect nutrition, balanced diet. Okay, a low caloric diet. So if they take more fatty diet, then heart strokes will come, heart attacks come, so brain strokes will come. That means diet has impact. Nutrition, that means less calories. Okay, more protein food they have to consume. If any reverse happen, then the death is certain. Okay, quick death it happens. So psychological factors. So the loneliness, depression. Okay, majority of them, the children grown, studied, and they went into the abroad or somewhere else for job and settled. But here they are living lonely. They always think about death will come. That kind of depression, isolation, these psychological factors also causes the death among the old age people. Understand? If you take the social factors, so everybody is saying that nobody considering them as a important figures either in the family, in the society. Society marginalization. If care, affection, love, and involving the old age people in the decision making, so then they became part of the society. Alienating the old age people always that led to the separation, segregation from the mainstream population. Then they thought that living is useless thing. This kind of negative things impact them, quickly death. So quickly death. And economic factors also. So economic factors also. For suppose if you take, so old age is related to the high susceptibility of the diseases. And if they don't have sufficient money to go to the hospitals taking the medicine, the disease increases inside the body, the symptoms increases, which causes the more damage. So psychologically, socially, nutrition, economic factors, environmental factors, genetic factors together control the senescence process. If all these conditions are perfect, the senescence or onset of the death, it is delayed. That means their lifespan increases. If anything happened here, their lifespan decreases. That means early in the senescence. Understand? So early in the senescence. So that you should remember. So what we can conclude is nothing but decreasing the life expectancy with increasing in age is nothing but a senescence. So senescence is also defined as a declining the functional activity of organs and cells. So when organs and cells are perfectly functioning, they produce proteins, they coordinate each other, then the organism survive healthy. If any malfunctioning occur in the cells, organs and systems, then other organs and other systems also collapse. That stage we call as a senescence. So when age is advancing, the organ cells as well as the system failure is nothing but a senescence. So senescence is nothing but reaching to the death. So reaching to the death. So reaching to the death. Okay. So these changes are irreversible. So for suppose if a person in their 60s or 70s, if there is any heart failure happen, so that heart failure we cannot bring back to the normal stage. Only cure, there are no cure. Only symptoms suppression is there. So that old age related changes. For suppose hair graying occur, whitening occur, skin elasticity loses, that we cannot fix. Okay, so we might reduce the symptoms to reach into the severity, but we cannot bring back to the normal like adulthood age kind of skin, adulthood age of hair. This is not possible. That means all the changes which related to the senses are irreversible changes. That you should remember. So if senescence is early, premature deaths are occur. So premature deaths are occur. But so if we observe from last 100 years, so past 100 years, so the age of senescence, delayed. So delayed means the death postponed or life expectancy has increased. So life expectancy has increased. So why? So why means proper hygiene, okay, medicines, government providing social welfare schemes, that is in the form of monthly pensions like 4,000, 6,000 rupees. Okay, so high purchasing power, okay, awareness related to the economic security. So these are all the medicinal progress. They can immediately go to the hospital when money is there. So money is given by the government, monthly security, establishment of primary, tertiary, secondary and tertiary care hospitals by government. So with free of cost, they are taking care. So insurance schemes come into being. Understand? So laws also. children has to support their parents. That laws also proposed. So this is various progressive measures in medical field, economic field, political field, that led to the even awareness related to the health and disease hygiene. These are all led to the postponement of the death in the later years, so that lifespan increased. So this is you have to write the trends in the aging and census. Okay, so infectious diseases eradicated mostly. That means disease associated to the bacteria, virus, parasites, and these things. So next, chronic disorders. So chronic disorders also decreased. And third one, you can see improved sanitation. So next, so housing, improved sanitation, housing from protection of the extreme climates such as cold and hot. Next, so increased availability of the nutrition. Nutrition availability has increased. And third one, you can see medical interventions. So medical interventions in the form of vaccination in the early childhood. So next, antibiotics. So antibiotics. So these are all reduced the various diseases in the body, and availability of the nutrition, and better housing, protection from the extreme climatic conditions, and better sanitization, which removed the pathogenics from their vicinity. So these are all contributed for increasing the longevity, or increased the age of senescence. So next, what are all the changes occurred in the census? What are all the changes occurred? So aging and census is a long answer question. So I told you, like, senescence, adolescent years, prenatal stage, these are all important. For exam point of, these are all the important. So what are all changes? What are all structural and functional changes? So what are all structural and functional changes in the census? Census means declining in the organs, cells, okay, systems functionality. Okay, so that the organism unable to survive, and death inevitably comes into the organism. So the first one you can see, that means old age. So this study of census also called as the systematic study of old age people, that we call as a gerontology branch. So gerontology branch. Pediatric branch means study of the infants, pediatrics. Okay, gerontology means study about the old age people. So within the medicine, different branches are there. Gerontology branch means study about the old age related problems and their medicines, their overall progress. So this is we call a gerontology branch. Sometimes they ask, like, discuss the major aspects of gerontology. The same question, but question is different. Okay, the topic is same, the question is different. Gerontology means study about the old age people who are reached to the senescence. So senescence changes are irreversible changes. Senescence caused by due to declining the functional activity of cells, organs, and everything. So these are all the characteristics observed during the senescence. So the same topic only you will write. So they might change the questions, but concepts are same. So what are all the changes generally? Decline in the weight. So weight declining. So the fat and everything, the burnt in their body, and the leanness, thinness comes. And the height also decline. So height shrinking. So shrinking of the height. So that means the old age people became bent. So bent kind of thing. So with the help of any stick, they walk. So this is called, so shrinking of the height. So weight decline, shrinking of the height. So these are all observable, visible changes. So second one is, so shortening of the face. Shortening of face due to teeth. So due to teeth loss. In old age, generally one after another, the teeth will move out of the mouth. That means they lose. So that is why the face region. When teeth are not available, the face region sinks. That is the shortening of the face. So fourth characteristics you can see. So reduced skin elasticity. So muscles weakening and disappear. And second one is bones brittle and weaker. So if the old age people fell down while they are walking also, not from the greater heights, even fell down from their even their walking, then their bones are breaking. So this is also one of the problem. So osteoarthritis. So osteoarthritis. So that means joint pains. So joints pains. So due to disappearance of the ligaments. So ligaments. So which attaching the bones, ligaments disappearance led to the joint pains that we call as a osteoarthritis. So these are all the another character. So ninth one. So loss of neurons. Loss of neuron or nerve cells. Nerve cells. So there is a specialized enzymes in the body, brain region, neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitters such as dopamine. So the dopamine production decreases due to nervous cells damage or nervous cells functioning decline. So when neurotransmitters declining, the neurotransmitters are hormones, dopamine hormones. So dopamine hormones. When these hormones are declined, the cooperation between the sensory organs decline. So that means loss of touch. So loss of touch or sensation, loss of touch, vision, audibility, taste. So these are all gone away due to neurotransmitter weakening or so neurons weakening. So that led to the slurred speech, difficulty vocabulary, short-term memory. So that led to the various diseases such as Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's, Parkinson diseases. So Parkinson diseases. And third one, dementia. So dementia and brain stroke. So brain stroke. So these are all nothing but forgetfulness, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's diseases, dementia. So these are all related to the memory problems. So brain stroke means the blood circulation clog inside the brain, that we call as a brain stroke. So these are all the brain related problems. So these are all the brain related problems. So 10th one, you can see some problems are there. So next, heart failures. Heart failures. So why heart failure means? So the arteries or vessels, they are deposited with various fat and everything. So the pumping of the blood became difficult. The vessels became narrow due to deposition of the fat and everything. So heart failures, that means heart attacks are common due to narrowing of the vessels. So next one, respiratory system problems, lungs problem, respiratory system. So inhalation, exhalation became difficult. So next you can see digestive system failure. So digestive system, the enzymes secreted by the digestive system unable to break down the complex foods. So liquid kind of foods are preferred by the old age people. So because of that enzymes. And 13th, so you have to mention all these things. So you have to mention all these things. 13th you can see. So excretory system problem. Excretory system problems like urinary tract. So urinary tract or stools formation. These are all the other problems. Next, immune system. So immune system. So immune system failure, that we call as a development of autoimmune system. Autoimmune system. So autoimmune system means the immunity of an individual unable to distinguish between own material as well as the foreign material. In that situation, it attacks, that immunity system attacks on the own body material. So it is the further damage of the body. On 15, you can see, so endocrine glands failure. Endocrine glands failure. So from hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, okay, pancreas, every gland failures occurs. And the 16th, you can see reproductive system failure. So reproductive system failure, unable to produce ova, sperms and everything. So these are all the characteristics of old age or characteristics of the senescence. Understand? So there are certain theories are there. So why in all the stages, stages of the human cycle, so explanation. So why it is inevitable? So why senescence is inevitable or death is inevitable? So what are all the reasons cited by the anthropologists? There are some biological theories are there. So biological theories are proposed by biologists. So biological theories, social theories, cultural theories. So cultural theories, and finally anthropological theories. So finally anthropological theories. So biologist perception about the death is different. Okay, sociologist different. Cultural studies different. Anthropology understanding about the death is different. So theories of aging and senses, theories of death. We have 4 theories are there. So it requires like 1.5 hour discussion. So evening we will meet at evening. I will let you know. Okay. So remaining people, they are test series students. Remaining people, most of the people are test series. Already they had finished their coaching, and some of the people, so they wanted only recording classes. Okay, this recording classes, why? Because they had some little bit exposure towards the subject. So they are present in the libraries and somewhere else. Some people might not cope up with the morning times or evening times because they have GS classes and everything. So they are watching that recorded classes. So So you are free from all this kind of burdens. So I will let you know evening, if it is possible, we will finish the theories of aging and senses. This is very important for the exam. Theories of aging and senses. So every 2-3 years once this question is coming in the exam for 15 or 20 marker. Discuss the various theories associated with the census process and discuss the biological and cultural theories related to the census process. Discuss the anthropological and sociological theories. So this is the various dimensions are there on this theories. So if it is possible, if I have the time, evening I will take and complete this one. So in chromosomal aberration chapter, have you seen that question paper? So genetic imprinting is there one concept, genetic imprinting. So that I will discuss during the time of gene related topics. Gene related topics. So we are discussing about chromosomes, meiosis, mitosis. These are all the topics from which birth and growth and development. So these are all gene related topics. Once this chapter is over, I will start the gene related topics. There I will discuss the genetic imprinting. But there is a intersex topic. Intersex topic that I forgotten to discuss during the time of chromosomal aberration. So if it is possible, this topic also I will cover in the evening. So if I have the time, I will try to take the lecture in evening. So I will finish this intersex and this theories so that tomorrow we'll freshly discuss the other topics. So till now, whatever we discussed today. So do you have any doubts? So whatever the topics we discussed today. So if you have any doubts, you can let me know. We will discuss it. So far we finished nearly 15 topics are there in this chapter. So very, very important chapter. I told you like 10 marker, 15 marker, 20 marker, 3 formats might be coming from this chapter. So lengthy chapter also. So growth and development. So general understanding and differentiation between growth and development that we had done. And second thing is nothing but various stages of human life, prenatal, postnatal, under which each stage we had seen separately. And finally, sentience, why death is certain, that we are struck in the middle, that I am completing by evening. So after that, maturity measurement. So various growth curves are there, growth curves, factors, each factor, biological factors, environmental factors, nutritional factors, secular trend, factors influencing the growth and development itself is a 2 hours discussion. So if it is 15 marker of growth and development or adolescent, so you cannot write like 2 hours discussion. So whatever I discussed in that adolescent stage growth factors, that is enough. So separately they will ask a question, 20 marker, discuss the factors influencing the growth and development. So where 20 marker means at least 4 pages you have to write, biological, environmental, nutritional, okay, this kind of health and disease, many factors are there that separately I will discuss. Okay, physics and somatotype, another concept is there. Understand? So overall 10 to 15 questions are there in this. Already we did only 3 questions. So if it is evening, I will take, it is 3 questions. So 4-5 lectures, we will finish all the 15 topics. So if you have any doubts, you can let me know. So monozygotic and so we in 9.1 chapter, twin studies are there. Twin studies. There I will explain the mechanism of birth of monozygotic teens, birth of dizygotic teens. So very simple. Very simple. So in monthly cycle generally, female releases 1 ova. Okay. So millions of sperms are there. So millions of sperms are there. Out of which millions of sperms, if one sperm mate with this ova, that we call as a fertilized egg. So fertilized egg. So this is the fertilized egg or primordial cell. If this is divided into 2, for suppose ova always carries X. In sperms, both X sperms are there, Y sperms are there. If X sperms are met, the individual is a XX. If Y sperms are met, the individual is a XY. And this is the mitosis, it starts. After fertilization, mitosis it starts. And this is 1XX. This is another XX. First two cells. And here it should be the process. Sometimes what would happen? Again, these two act as a primordial cell. So again, these two act as a primordial cell. This grown as a one baby, this grown as a another baby. So generally, it should not happen. So in rare exceptional cases, daughter cells act as a parent cell, the first kind of fertilized egg. So then it act as a one baby, it act as a another baby. But the source of this two is from single fertilized egg. If it is XX, it is also XX. It is XX, it is also XX. So it is the monozygotic twin development. So in another cases, in a single monthly cycle, single menstrual cycle, so female, instead of single ova, she releases two ovas. So rare exceptional cases. Okay, so here millions of sperms are there. Some are X, some are Y. So first ova is fertilized with X, then it became XX. Second ova has the chance of fertilizing with XX, X or Y. If it is fertilized with Y, it became boy. If it is fertilized with X, it became a XX. That means both are girls only. If it is Y, both one is girl, another one is boy. If both are fertilized YY only, then both are boys only. Understand? In dizygotic twin, both should be a female, both should be a males, both should be male and female. Anything combination could be happen. Maybe because these are all separate fertilizations. It is the single fertilization and it develop into baby. It is two ovas fertilized by two separate sperms and each one grown into a separate baby. Okay, each one grown into a separate baby. So the thing is like here each one has placenta. So two placentas are connected with the mother. But here these two are present in a single sheath and one placenta is enough. One placenta is present. Understand? This is mono. Why? Because so it is the blastocyte. So from blastocyte, it grown into placenta. So each one has separate blastocyte. So here single blastocyte later grown into two babies. That's why single placenta is there. So this topic is 40 minutes topic, which comes under the 9.1 chapter. So 9.1 chapter, twin studies are there. So any other doubts are there? Any other doubts? Okay, if it is possible, evening I will take. So our target is like, you forgot about the other students. Okay, so I am not bothering about all other students. So within 4 months, so now you received the books also, you got it right, that books. So within 4 months, you finish this anthropology and anthropology optional, for say optional, maximum students are neglecting this optional, that is their fate. They could not able to clear this exam. But whoever completed optional first, they have higher chance of getting rank. So within 10 days, I will start economy. Okay, you could wait. So economy, it is a general studies topic. It requires for everybody. Hundreds of admissions come. But optional, so it is not the right time for teaching or studying for optional for those candidates. Why? Because they are preparing for prelims from past many years and the prelims is approaching. So they are busy with the GS. Optional, very, very less people prepare right now, except to freshers. So within 4 months, I will finish it. And we are recording all these lectures also. I will put, so I don't put all the lectures. Some videos I will put inside the YouTube so that exposure will be increases. But all the course is accessible for you only, not for other people. Okay, we'll meet by evening, if it is possible evening. Otherwise, tomorrow morning I will take.